We're going to talk about 4 ways to sing high notes in your head voice. I keep getting the questions, how do I get a stronger head voice? Or how do I make my high notes stronger? That is so general. Like, what do you mean? What do you want? Do you want a higher belt? Do you want a stronger mix in your head voice register? Or do you just want to access your head voice? What do you want? We need to get specific here. The more specific you can be, the better you will be at figuring out which exercises you need to strengthen up your voice. Hi, my name is Tina, and I am a vocal coach specializing in musical theater singing, but other styles as well. So for the first way of singing head voice is falsetto. Now, falsetto can be confusing because sometimes we think it's in another realm in itself. However, when you are singing in falsetto, it is in head voice, but it is breathy and relaxed on purpose as a stylistic choice. For example, I can go, "You're my home, my destination, and I'm your clone, your strange creation." So it creates this eerie, almost hopeless feeling that the character is going through, and it makes sense with the song that I chose because, you know, she lost her mom and mom's not there to help her out. So you feel like this sense of darkness, and you don't want to sound all optimistic or light at all. You kind of want to sound sunken and depressed a little bit. Okay, so you can use that for that effect in a song. Now, the second way to sing high notes in your head voice is to just sing it in head voice, which is more balance and resonance, okay? Not to be confused with mixed head voice, which we will get to later. Now, this just means it has more chord closure when you are singing higher notes, rather than the breathiness that we just experienced earlier. Okay, so if you feel like you're weak in this area, that means you haven't strengthened up your head voice register yet. So work on exercises that will get your chords to come together a little bit more firmly. And I've mentioned this before in my other videos that if you sing higher, your vocal cords are being stretched and they are thin. And because they are thin, it is harder for your chords to come in more firmly than they do in the chest voice. So maybe you are feeling like you are weak because your chords are not coming together firmly, and therefore you start to push your air out. And if you push your air out, you might have a breathy tone, but a breathy tone that you did not intend on having, right? So you can sing exercises like goo goo goo, like I like to go goo 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 gee 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 gee. The letter G really helps with the chord closure. If you want to make more simple, you can just go goo goo goo. That's it, right? Keep it simple. The other one's a little bit more advanced and requires more stamina from your breathing, okay? Now, if you want more of a resonant head voice, it would sound like this in the same song example that I just used earlier. You can go, "You're my home, my destination, and I'm your clone, your strange creation." Right? It's not breathy like your strange creation. Yeah, it's a little bit more forward and it carries the sound a little bit further as well. Now, the third way to sing high notes in your head voice is to make it a mix. What does mixing mean? It just means blending your vocal registers so that it can be stronger, especially when you transition over your vocal break. You don't want to flip into that breathy tone. You want to have a nice smooth transition so that it sounds like you have one voice, and a higher note doesn't seem harder than a lower note. And when we mix, we are adding a little bit more weight to the thinness of our vocal cords. So we really want to work on exercises that develop that vocal squeeze, not a throat squeeze, okay? A vocal squeeze to get your cords to come together even more firmly than before, okay? Having that resistance when compression underneath your vocal folds are being developed. If your vocal cords are not strong enough to withstand the power of compression underneath your vocal folds, then when you exhale, when you sing, it's gonna blast through your vocal cords, and therefore you lose a lot of air, you get vocal fatigue, and then you get breathy. Okay, so when you mix, it sounds a little bit stronger. You know, it sounds more resonant. It has more ring to the high notes. So then I can go, you're my home, versus you're my home, versus you're my home. Did you hear the difference between the three examples? One was falsetto, one was more head voice, and one was more of a head mix. Okay, so some exercises you can use to strengthen your mix is the mum mum mum, like this. Mum 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 mum, or the nay nay nays. Nay 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 nay. So those exercises really work on your pharyngeal space to bridge between your chest voice and your head voice. And because your head voice uses the back of your throat, your pharynx already, when you activate this area and you start to mix, you're going to allow your chest voice to share that space with your head voice, and therefore creating a stronger sound. Okay, so try out those exercises to strengthen your head voice and turn it more into a mix. But in order for you to have a strong mix, you really want to master your head voice first, understand how to use your head voice before you even try to do any mixed voice exercises. Sometimes my students really want to do mixed voice stuff, but we haven't even strengthened our head voice register yet, so it makes it harder, and we always want to pull our chest voice up in the attempt to make our head voice stronger. So I encourage you to do this in steps if this is your goal. If your goal is to mix your head voice, learn to strengthen your head voice register first, okay? Develop that chord closure, develop the right amount of breath support when you are singing higher notes. Now, the fourth way to sing a higher note is to mix belt it. Belting is more powerful, has more volume to it, it's more intense, so therefore you're going to need a lot more compression underneath your vocal folds. But because we need more compression, we need stronger chord closure to withstand that resistance, okay? So a mixed belt on higher notes will require you to master your mix first, okay? Don't just go straight into a belt. So anytime you belt over your vocal break, that's where I would suggest you do a mixed belt, not a chest belt, okay? So you can use exercise like this that I use in my belting course. I sing on Y to get that whine out, to get that twang, and that twang is going to help me lighten up and brighten my sound so that it doesn't get too heavy, or I won't pull my chest voice up, because I don't want to do that when I belt. So the exercise sounds like this. Okay, anchor your larynx. So I'm going to a D5, which is pretty high for female voices already, but sometimes you will need to mix belt all the way up to like an F5 or even a G5, okay? I feel like higher voice singers can definitely belt up there. So let's try this with me, the Y, and you really want to have that whine to it, okay? Use the whine from your mix to help you mix belt. Y. I'm not going Y. That's a nice mix. Mix belt. Y. You can definitely hear more of that chest blended with the head voice, right? I'm essentially just adding more chest to make it a belt. So let's see what happens if we go a little bit higher, just up a half step. This is going to be a D sharp 5. I want to widen up my mouth a little bit more, not wide horizontally, more up, like a smile to brighten up that sound. Okay, there we go to an E5. Sure, why not with me? Here we go. Okay, that was an E5. Great. How did you do? So those are the 4 ways to sing high notes, specifically in your head voice, okay? Now you understand what type of head voice you want to go for. You can take what you learned today, go to your coach or to me, and figure out some exercises to help you. All right, because sometimes I just get the same questions over and over. How do I get a stronger head voice? Well, what kind? You know, even falsetto can be strong. It's not weak if you do it correctly and intentionally. Okay? If you want to see the full version of this video, you can check that out on my Patreon or become a channel member to access that video. But if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button to get more content like this. Hit the like button if this was helpful to you. Comment below which head voice are you going for after watching this video and how you are going to work on that. But thank you so much for watching. That's all for now, and I'll see you next time.